The only permanent alteration may be that the automakers may look deeper into their supply chains to see where their vulnerabilities are and say, wait a minute, I can't just look at the tier one, tier two. I've got to look all the way down to tier three, tier four and say, where are the capacity constraints? And maybe we need to diversify a little more rather than rely on one or two suppliers making at the bottom, making all these things for the entire industry. Almost all of our clients have some presence in Detroit. For many, it's just a sales and engineering office. They're headquartered in Germany. They're headquartered in Japan. We have Spanish clients, French. I mean, you name it. It's very international. A couple of clients based in Mexico that have sales and engineering offices in Detroit because, of course, there's so many automakers in this area. But we do have a lot of clients who are based out of Michigan. What we do as lawyers here in Detroit is we help. What I say, when we have issues with the supply chain, we try to resolve them. And what I mean is, if someone is fighting about price, the seller wants a higher price, the buyer doesn't want to pay it, and they have a dispute, it's very common for lawyers to be involved in the U.S. I don't think it's nearly as common in China or Japan or other countries, but you've been here, we're a little more litigious. We involve lawyers a little more. So we also review contracts. We try to write the contracts for our clients to prevent problems, so they don't have an issue with the supplier. They don't have an issue with the customer. So part of it is we're just trying to smooth out that supply chain. And because it's just in time and it's sole sourced, everyone is very dependent on each other. And of course, that's why we're talking, because of the chip shortage, right? We don't think about it every day, but we really depend on each other. And we really need that wafer, which is made way off, 5,000 miles away. And if we don't get it, there's no chips. If we don't get the chips, we can't make parts. If we can't make the parts, we can't make cars. And it happens like that. Within a week or two, the whole supply chain is very tight. Well, shortages of all kinds. This weekend, I was working on a different shortage that had nothing to do with chips. It was just a supplier that had financial problems, and they were having trouble ordering raw materials because they didn't have enough money. So the big concerns are always, the number one concern for all of our clients is keeping the supply chain going. Okay. Commercial disputes, contracts, everything else is in the backseat. But the number one concern is, because of the just-in-time inventory nature of the automotive supply chain, our number one concern is keep the supply chain running. That's what our clients are worried about, is making sure they're meeting their customers' demands and their suppliers are meeting their demands. To me, there's two issues there. The first is, forget about EVs versus internal combustion. Even if we stayed with 100% internal combustion engines, all of these components are using more chips, right? The brakes, the radios, the steering, the airbags, all of the interior cockpit items. So even if we'd stayed with internal combustion, we would still have increased use of chips, because things are getting more electrified and computerized within the entire vehicle. But you're right. When you add on top of that, going to EVs, that's even more demand, right? So you're just sort of accelerating the demand for electrification, which accelerates the demand for chips. And again, I'm as a supply chain lawyer, I'm not an expert on that, but that's just generally true. I think anybody in the automotive industry would tell you that we use far more chips than we did even a few years ago. I have been hearing about this for a very long time, for 10 or 12 years, that we're going to have, self-driving vehicles and electrics, and it's starting, right? But the market penetration is still very low. It's still only 1 or 2%. So it doesn't affect on a day-to-day basis, it really not a huge effect on my clients. But some of our supplier clients are supplying parts to Tesla and Rivian and all these electrical companies. So it's definitely starting. I mean, I've been hearing about it so long, for 7 or 8 years, that I sort of rolled my eyes, but now it's happening. And now we have a lot of clients who supply to Tesla. We've got, I would say, 10 or 12 who supply to Rivian. And so these electrical vehicle OEMs are coming online, and they're starting to be a player in the market, at least here in North America. I think China's driving a lot of it. I think China, with their government regulations, I mean, you're going to have to be electric, right? I mean, that's what I've been told is, so I think China is driving a lot of this.